Right, EAS practice paper 1, unit 2, so the calculator side. First question, scatter graph. So plot number of customers against take-ins. So number of customers 104, take-ins of 480, that's going to be by here. Number of customers 82, take-ins 390. So across to 82 up to 390, 120 to 560, 64 to 290. 70 to 310, and then 118 to 530, and that is the scatter graph drawn. The next question asks for a line of best fit. Remember, a line of best fit doesn't have to go through the origin, so it doesn't have to go through 0, 0. It's okay to go through anywhere as long as it cuts the points. The next question asks for estimate the takings if there are 95 customers. So we draw a line up from 95 customers. We draw a line across to the take-ins, and then we can see that that's 440. So for question 1C, we have £440 for the take-ins. Question number 2. Find the perimeter of the sports hall in terms of x. In terms of x just means that you're going to have x in your answer. So this side down here is the same as the one at the top. So that's 3 bracket 2x plus 3. And we have another x plus 16 to the left. So the perimeter is 3, 2x plus 3, plus x plus 16, plus another x plus 16, plus another 3, 2x plus 3. If we expand the brackets, we get 6x plus 9. The x plus 16s are going to stay as they are because there's no brackets involved. And then we get another 6x plus 9 on the end. Collect all the x terms together and we find there's 14 x's. Collect the number terms together and we find that it's plus 50. Find the dimensions of the sports hall when x equals 4.5. So for the length, we have 3 bracket 2 times 4.5 plus 3. And for the width, we're going to have 4.5 plus 16. So we're using the length and width given to us and obviously just putting the 4.5 in. Don't forget this is a calculator paper, so you can obviously type these in your calculator, so you'll end up with 36 and 20.5. Question number 3. So this question is all about box and whisker plots, which if you turn it this way, it looks a bit more obvious and a bit more as you'd expect. So the first question says, write down the month with the greatest mean flow of water and estimate the mean flow of water for that month. So it tells you in the key that the mean is represented by the dotted line. So the highest dotted line is obviously in May. And then in order to estimate it, I'm going to just put a ruler on and I'm going to just draw a line across. And then I'm going to work out where that value sits. So we've got the month of May and we can say that obviously halfway would be 15, so I'm going to say that's about 17. In the mark scheme, it gives you leeway between 16 and 18, and read the question fully, give the units of your answer. The units are meters cubed per second. Now, the true or false questions relate to the diagram. So, May had the largest range. So if we look at the diagram whilst we're doing the question, May had the largest range. Now remember, the range is the biggest value, take away the smallest value. Now that requires us to look at the very top and bottom of our box and whisker plot to look at the range. So the range would be this value, take away this value. So as we can see that May is not the biggest, don't need to work it out, but we can already see that June obviously is a bigger range, so that is false. The largest flow of water occurred during June. So again, the largest flow of water is the end of the box and whisker plot, and we can see that this time it did happen in June, so that is true. June had the highest median flow. The median is the solid bar in the middle. So if we look across all of the solid bars, that represents the median. Here's June, and we can see May is higher, so that is a false statement. February had the smallest range. So is the gap between the very top and bottom of the box and whisker plot the smallest in February? And we can see that yes, that is true. The lowest flow of water in September was around 5. So here's September, and the lowest again is the bottom of the box and whisker. And if I was to put the ruler on across there, you can see that it comes to about here, which is roughly halfway between 0 and 10. So that is true. Which month had the greatest interquartile range, and estimate it. So greatest interquartile means the biggest difference between the 75% and 25% in the box of the box and whisker. Now we can see that May has got the biggest box, so the month in which we had the biggest interquartile range was May, and then we need to take some readings from the graph. We can see that obviously the top end of it is basically 20, and the bottom end of it I'm going to say is about 12, so our interquartile range is 20 minus 12, which is 8. meters cubed per second. Again, there is a tolerance in this because it depends on how you take your reading, so you could have had anywhere between about 7 and 8.5 for that question. Question number 3. So, Jenna has £45. That's the first thing. She has £45 saved. Each week, she is going to save. So each week, save 12% of 250. So that's 0.12 times by 250, because don't forget we can use the calculator for this. So she saves £30. So after 2 weeks, she has 45 plus 60, because she saved that twice. So she has a total of £105. Yes, she can pay the deposit. Be careful on this question because it asks you specifically whether she can pay the deposit and then whether she can pay the final amount. So you do have to state in your answer that she can pay the deposit, not just work out whether she can afford the whole thing. So 12 weeks after paying, so after 12 more weeks, she has 12 lots of 30, which is £360. So in total, she has that 360 plus the £5 that's left over here from the deposit. So she has £365, and then you need to just make the final statement. Yes, she can afford the full holiday. Question number 5. So Agnes gives Carwyn 2/5 of a pizza. So C has 2/5. And then Bryn shares his pizza in the ratio 1, 2, 3, 4, and David gets the largest piece. So if we talk about Bryn's pizza in terms of fractions, there are 10 slices in his pizza, and David is getting the largest piece, so David is getting 4. So David has 4/10. Now that is the same as 2/5 because we can divide top and bottom by 2, so therefore they have the same amount of pizza as your final answer, and you do need to make that statement to get the marks.